the English Telecourse for Teachers. I'm your host, May Fernandez Legaspi. In the previous episode, we took up appreciative listening. We said that this type of listening should be developed among learners, and that our learners should be aware of the elements of sound, such as tempo, rhythm, rhyme, and tone color. These are the very elements which enable learners to appreciate the things they listen to. In today's episode, we shall take up the stage-by-stage approach, which lends itself strongly to the development of listening skills. This approach will be shown to you in a full-blown lesson, which consists of 3 parts: pre-listening, while listening, and post-listening. If you recall, in our previous episode, we took up 2 approaches to develop listening skills, and these were the whole text repeated approach and the sectional approach. We said that the whole text repeated approach was meant for short texts, and the sectional approach catered to long texts. The stage-by-stage approach, on the other hand, caters to both short and long texts. We will know more about this approach after a few reminders. Stay there! Welcome once again. We said earlier that the sectional approach would cater to both short and long texts. This approach enables learners to acquire transcoding skills. We will show you how this is done in a full-blown lesson. But before that, let me take you to the classroom where you will see the teacher conducting a pre-listening activity.
Class, look at this web. Is it the same as the one you have on your paper?
Yes, ma'am.
How do we call this figure? Yes, Philip.
This figure is called a web, ma'am.
Good. It is called a web. Now, Judith, what insect makes or spins a web?
The insect that makes or spins a web is a spider, ma'am.
That's right. A spider indeed makes or spins a web. Do you know, class, that we too can make our own webs? However, it's not the kind of web like the gauzy thread kind. It's more of a web of words. Yes, Pedro, you were raising your hand.
I was just wondering, ma'am, what kind of web is a web of words and how can you make one?
The answer is by doing it yourself. So, Pedro, come over and kindly post this on the circle here on this figure. And class, please write down the word that Pedro is posting on the board right now. Has everybody finished writing down the word earth in the circle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Pedro. You may now sit down. Class, what you are to do this time is to write down as many words as possible describing the earth here on the lines of the web. Like, for instance, yes, Fanny.
Any words, ma'am?
Yes, you can write down as many words as you can that you can associate with the planet Earth. Like, for instance, the word planet, or perhaps the word blue. Okay? After you have written down as many words as possible, find your own partner and then share with your partner your list. And then explain to him or to her why you wrote down the words that you did. And then tell him why you wrote down words that cannot be found in his or her list. Okay? Alright? Let's all begin.
This episode is getting exciting, isn't it? What did we see in the first part of the lesson? You're correct. That was the pre-listening activity. This activity usually has the following purposes. First, to activate the schema or background knowledge of students about the new lesson. Second, to set the right atmosphere or the right mood. Please refer to your Teaching Support Manual or TSM for other samples of pre-listening activities. Let's see how the teacher continues with the lesson. But before that, let's pause for a short break. Please don't go away. Ready to watch the rest of the lesson? Come and join me in the classroom once again. Let's find out what Pedro and Fanny seem to be discussing.
Look, we have both the words green and beautiful.
You have the word round, but I have spear. Which word is more correct?
They are synonymous, but you don't have the word polluted. I think you should add that to your web words.
You're right with that word. I can almost smell the uncollected garbage in our street.
I agree with that.
Did you feel the importance of the pre-listening activity in that classroom scene? You must have observed how the teacher integrated this activity with speaking. How did she do this? Let's go back to the classroom scene.
After you have written down as many words as possible, find your own partner and then share with your partner your list. And then explain to him or to her why you wrote down the words that you did. And then tell him why you wrote down words that cannot be found in his or her list. Okay? Alright? Let's all begin.
Apparently, the teacher made Fanny and Pedro do a lot of speaking. She made them answer questions and discuss things on their own in order to arrive at certain decisions. Let's look at the last part of the pre-listening activity and find out what the students will do next.
Alright class, can I ask for 4 volunteers to post their web of words on the board? Yes, how about Pat, Danica, Phoebe, and Eric? Kindly come forward and post your works on the board. Okay, thank you. Your classmates have written down several words like dear, beautiful, green, ozone depletion, amazing. Very good, class. You have generated a lot of words describing the earth. It's very good.
The students did a good job, didn't they? Remember, the pre-listening activity prepares students for the succeeding parts of the lesson. It can be done by conducting speaking, reading, and even writing activities. Let's go back to the classroom and see how the teacher conducts another pre-listening activity.
Okay, class. Before we proceed with today's major lesson, we will first play a game. This is how it goes. I'm going to say a word, and then you are going to tell me the first word that comes to your mind upon hearing it. Okay? Let's have one example. For instance, the word is garbage. Okay, everyone's raising their hands. Yes, Ray.
Sickness.
Very good. Class, did you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember, class, each of you will have to say a word that you associate with the word I'm going to say. Are you ready?
Yes, we are, ma'am.
Okay, other words, how about logging? What first comes to your mind? Yes? Vincent?
Illegal.
Illegal. Smoking. Rhea? Death. Death? Very good. How about the word ozone? Who can answer that? Yes, Jane?
Layer.
Very good.
What do you think was the teacher aiming at? Yes, you're correct. She wanted the students to bring in their own experiences on the issue saving Mother Earth. She was preparing the class for the other activities in the lesson. Let's go back to the classroom and see how the teacher processes the answer